Am I the asshole for refusing to pay child support for my biological child? I, a 34-year-old man, met the mother of my biological child, Sarah, who is also 34, during my freshman year of college. We hooked up a few times, but we never dated or had anything serious. It was more of a casual thing. About 6 months later, she told me she was pregnant, and I was skeptical about being the father. Both of us were seeing other people, and I honestly didn't think the baby was mine. Plus, I wasn't ready to be a father. I was focused on school and didn't want to quit to raise a child. Despite my reservations, Sarah decided to keep the baby. She said she wasn't going to force me to be involved, but that she hoped I would step up once I accepted the situation. A paternity test confirmed that I was the father, and even though I wasn't thrilled, I started paying child support. We went our separate ways. She stayed in our college town, and I moved to another city. I had been sending her around $2,000 a month for about 8 years, but we barely communicated during that time. About 3 years ago, Sarah got married to a guy named Mark. I was relieved when I found out because Mark wanted to adopt my child, which legally ended my obligations. After that, Sarah and I completely stopped talking, and I assumed that chapter of my life was closed. I thought Mark was stepping in to be the father, and I was okay with that. I had a stable job and was building my own life without the weight of child support hanging over me anymore. Everything was fine until about a month ago, when I received a letter from Sarah's attorney. Apparently she's going through a divorce and she wants me to resume paying child support. I don't know the details of their split, but she claims that since I'm the biological father, I'm responsible again. I was floored. I went straight to my attorney and he reassured me that I have no legal obligation to pay her anything. When Mark adopted the child, my responsibilities ended. If I start paying again now, it could reopen a legal can of worms, potentially locking me into child support for years. My attorney did some calculations and said that based on my current income, I'd be on the hook for about $5,000 a month. That's more than double what I used to pay, and over the course of a year, it would total around $60,000. I had him draft a formal response saying I wouldn't be resuming payments. I thought that was the end of it, until my mom found out. My mom has always been a very moral, do the right thing kind of person, and she lost it when she heard about the situation. She has kept up with my son all these years, sending him birthday and Christmas gifts, and Sarah sends her pictures periodically. She said I was being cruel to an innocent child and that, regardless of the legal side of things, I brought this child into the world and should take responsibility. She keeps guilt-tripping me, saying I'm abandoning my own blood and calling me selfish for thinking about money over the well-being of my child. To make matters worse, she's even hinted that I won't be welcome at family functions, even Christmas, if I don't step up and be a man. My dad and brothers are on my side. They get that it's not just about the money, but also about the fact that I was cut out of the child's life when Mark adopted him. I thought I had moved on from all this. Now it feels like I'm being dragged back into a situation I never asked for in the first place. My child is a teenager now and I haven't been involved in his life for years. I'm torn. On one hand, I don't want to be responsible for paying child support again, especially since the adoption ended my obligations. On the other hand, my mom's words are starting to get to me, and part of me feels guilty for not wanting to help. So, am I the asshole for refusing to pay child support for my biological child after all these years? Should I feel obligated even though the law says I don't have to? What do you think? What would you do?